A year ago, Zach Goldsmith defied the bookies to overturn a 3,700 vote majority and win the Richmond Park constituency in one of the most high-profile campaigns of a general election. I'm joined now by Zach Goldsmith to talk about the commitments he made then and look at the situation 12 months on. Zach, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
At times it seemed a fairly acrimonious fight with Susan Kramer. How do you look back on the campaign now?
I think it was acrimonious, and I don't know how it compares with campaigns up and down the country. I suspect acrimony is probably an inevitable ingredient in all political campaigns, but there are aspects of it which weren't fun, which were disappointing on many levels, but that is now, it's past, and actually, we're in a coalition now. The two main parties locally are joined in government, and it works. I think it works.
Talk me through the election pledges you made then and the situation now.
The pre-election pledges that I made, there were lots of issues covered, but the three basic things that were said. One of them was that if the Conservative Party formed a government, there would be no Heathrow expansion, and that if that did happen, or if the promise wasn't kept, that I would trigger a by-election. Second thing was that there would be no introduction of car parking charges in Richmond Park on our watch, and likewise, I promised that if it was broken I would trigger a by-election. The third thing, that we would not lose the maternity unit or the accident and emergency in Kingston Hospital, which was a big issue at the time. I said that if on any of those counts I was not able to hold the government to its promise, that I would trigger a by-election. Unfortunately, two of those problems have gone away. There are concerns about the hospital, but there's no suggestion, I don't think, anywhere that the maternity unit or the accident and emergency will be closed down.
Clearly the campaign against a third runway at Heathrow is an enormous success, but with a deal on night flights expiring in October, what are you going to do to protect residents from aircraft noise in the future?
This is a really important issue. The regime ends in October. After then there'll be a consultation which will be put out by the government, and my job and the job of neighbouring MPs is to make sure that the right people are asked, in other words everyone under the flight path, not just selected pockets, and that the right questions are asked. And the last Heathrow consultation in my view was bogus. It asked the wrong questions, it was necessarily going to get the wrong answers. So we've got to get that bit right, and we've got to make sure that all the various viewpoints and opinions are included. So I've got a meeting coming up with the Transport Secretary and all the neighbouring MPs who are able to come, and some peers, including my predecessor, Baroness Kramer. We're going to be meeting up with Theresa Villiers and really hammering this point home.
And what are your expectations? Could there be fewer night flights in the future?
The absolute line has to be at the situation getting worse. I hope and believe we can improve the situation, we can tighten it up a bit. And the trouble is, nighttime has been redefined over and over again. So it's quite common to have aeroplanes flying over at a time when virtually no one in this constituency is awake, and it wakes them up. And it does have a big impact. So I would like to see a much clearer definition, and I'd like to see enforcement taken much more seriously. We're not going to scrap flights over Richmond in morning time, but we can certainly apply the pressure and improve the current situation. That's what we should aspire to do.